How are you, gents? It's SBG here on this rainy Thursday night in Brisbane. What I want to talk about tonight is the aftermath of the coronavirus. And some of you guys might recall that I made a video in regard to this in about early February 2020, I think it was. And I was quite concerned at the time. I felt that the Wuhan virus could become a very serious issue and that maybe 40 or 50 million people might die. As we know, that sort of scenario did not pan out. It did not occur. And interestingly, around about mid-April 2020 or early May 2020, I managed to get in contact with a few students of mine, former students of mine in Wuhan and also in Nanchang, Jiangxi province. And they told me that the Wuhan virus was real, but the threat level had been blown out of proportion by the Chinese state-owned media, and it was being blown out of proportion also by the Western media. And I found that very interesting. They said the worst effect was from the lockdowns, and people were losing their businesses, and the stress that resulted from that was making people sick. So they were saying that basically the lockdowns and all the PCR testing was stressing people out and they were becoming sick because of that. And obviously you saw the way the Western media reacted to the virus and all the hysteria that occurred. I've watched a bit of content by a lady called Laura Matsu, I think her name is, and she's into astrology, which I'm just not into. I feel that it's a lot of babble. It's basically pseudoscience, but she did raise some very good points, and she seems to think very carefully about many issues. And what she basically said was that these days, about 75% of the American population has a consensus mentality. And you could also say it's a compliance mentality or a conformity or conformist sort of mentality. And you could extrapolate that to the rest of the Western world, like, for example, the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. And it was very interesting to see how people in the West were very easily led by their governments, by media propaganda, and it really made me understand how people were very easily led by Hitler, by people like Jim Jones, the People's Temple, and how Jonestown occurred. These sort of events occur because people are basically brainwashed, they are indoctrinated, they don't have any critical analysis skills, and they can't think for themselves. So basically that's what I feel happened during the past 3 years or so, and there were many civil rights abuses, even human rights abuses occurring, obviously, in places like Melbourne here in Australia. It was disturbing. It was even outrageous in many cases. So, guys, I just want to know your opinion about the coronavirus hysteria that has been occurring and is still occurring in some cases. And how do you feel about the future this year, 2023? What do you think is going to happen in regard to the coronavirus and some other world events? I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts and opinions. That's about all for now. I've just pulled up here in a car park not too far from my house because apparently there could be a severe storm later, so I don't want to be too far from home. But that's all for now, and I'll talk to you later. Cheers.